National Weather Service warning for this storm moving southeast at 45 miles an hour. So that's a quick moving tornadic circulation on radar. That's a quick moving area of rotation. Put a storm track on it, moving southeast at 45 miles an hour. Take it out towards the community of Seymour. It'll be near Gilliland at 7:19 p.m., near Vera at 7:33, near Vera Methodist Church at 7:33 p.m., all in Knox County. It'll be near Seymour Municipal Airport at 7:52 p.m. and 7:55 p.m. in the community of Seymour, which again is just outside of that tornado warning polygon. So that gives you an idea of how fast exactly the strongest rotation in the thunderstorm is moving. This is relatively far from the radar at Dyess Air Force Base, so we're not really getting a good idea of what exactly is going on in the low levels of the atmosphere from this radar scan. But we are definitely seeing the very strong winds associated with this thunderstorm. The bright reds are winds going inside the thunderstorm away from the radar, and those are fueling that Gulf moisture we're seeing across the big country. You step outside and it feels like we're in spring rather than summer. We are in the middle of June, meteorological summer, and that's what's really fueling these thunderstorms, where we're seeing the very gusty winds and the potential for tornadic circulation. Most recent radar data, places like Truscott, here's Highway 6 that goes through Knox County. Here's the community of Gilliland. It looks like we might be seeing kind of a newer area of rotation. Here's that area we were talking about near Gilliland. That's looking a little bit more broad. Now I'm keeping my eye on this area of rotation. Green is winds going towards the radar, red is winds going away from the radar. So it might be a little bit of some clockwise rotation. Typically you see counterclockwise rotation with tornadic circulations, but they can happen clockwise or counterclockwise. Rotation, regardless of what direction it's going in, can potentially be indicative of a tornado. It's kind of a messy signature on the velocity product. That's how we look at the winds inside the thunderstorm. And you can see that area that's kind of moving out ahead of the main cluster of thunderstorms. We're also on all of our different Fox West Texas digital and streaming platforms. So for those of you who are seeking shelter from that tornado warning, and it looks like we have just had a second tornado warning issued for Stonewall County. So folks in Stonewall County really need you to be in that tornado safe place. It's for portions of Kent and Stonewall County until 7:45 p.m. this evening. So folks to the west of Aspermont towards the southwest of Peacock really need to be taking those tornado safety precautions. If you'll remember just this past Friday, we had a tornado warning for portions of Stonewall County and kind of this exact same area, southwestern Stonewall County. And unfortunately, we're seeing a tornado warning again. So folks west of Aspermont, southwest of the community of Peacock, you can see the very strong winds associated with this thunderstorm back towards Claremont. The red is winds going away from the radar, the green is winds going towards the radar. And you're seeing that very powerful rotation for folks in Claremont right now. So a very powerful circulation near the community of Claremont. Folks, Claremont, Jayton, Peacock, Aspermont, need you all to be taking this seriously. Need you to be in those tornado safety precautions. And the potential for tennis ball sized tail. It's 9 miles west of Jayton, moving southeast at 35 miles an hour. So a little bit slower than that tornado warning in Knox County. Powerful nonetheless, though, tracking it out, eventually making its way towards Fisher County. We'll see how well this tornadic circulation is able to hold together. It's very organized right now. That's why the National Weather Service has issued this tornado warning. And we have just received reports from the National Weather Service in Norman of an 80-mile-an-hour gust measured 2 miles southeast of Truscott. So, and per the National Weather Service in Lubbock, a report of the brief funnel near the community of Claremont. So this is a really powerful thunderstorm, eventually moving into portions of Stonewall County. It is moving southeast at 35 miles an hour. So folks in southwestern portions of Stonewall County really need you to be in that tornado safe place right now. So we have two different tornado warnings. They're both in effect until 7:45 p.m. this evening. So here's that storm track for the storm in Stonewall County. It'll be near Jayton at 7:20 and near Johnson Church in portions of Stonewall County just before the 8 o'clock hour at 7:56 p.m. We'll be watching this tornadic circulation as it's moving into portions of the Fox West Texas viewing area. But giving you a broad look about what's going on in the Fox West Texas viewing area, we have a severe thunderstorm warning just outside of portions of Mitchell County and two tornado warnings ongoing right now. The first tornado warnings for portions of Knox County, and you can see this thunderstorm also capable of some very large hail. National Weather Service is warning hail sizes. In addition to the tornado threat, the heavy winds threat, you have hail possible of 2 inches in diameter with this thunderstorm. You see the pink areas just to the north of the community of Benjamin, potential for some very large hail. And you see that yellow shaded polygon kind of over the red shaded polygon. That's where you have, that's also a severe thunderstorm warning. That is additionally, more folks are going to be seeing that large hail threat than that tornado threat, with kind of the leading edge of the thunderstorm. Newest radar scan showing that that tornado warning has progressed eastward, eventually making its way into portions of Baylor County, places like Seymour. The rotation is looking fairly disorganized at this point in portions of Knox County. This is looking at the winds inside the thunderstorm. The green is winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. So there is kind of broad counterclockwise circulation. When you get these clusters of thunderstorms, they do have a tendency to cycle up in intensity and cycle down in intensity. And you'll sometimes see these very brief spin-ups. I do think we likely had a brief spin-up earlier west of Ford City, given the fact that it was looking a lot tighter for portions of Knox County near Ford City earlier. That said, though, I think it might have weakened a little bit, hopefully give you a little bit of peace of mind in portions of Knox County. Do apologize, looking at the latest information. As of now, it looks like both of these tornado warnings are radar indicated, meaning they haven't been spotted by storm chasers on the ground. Regardless, though, the fact that these haven't been seen by spotters doesn't mean you should take it less seriously. It means radar meteorologists at the National Weather Service are seeing enough evidence on radar to say, hey, there may be a tornado ongoing. The most prudent thing to do is always to seek shelter, lowest floor away from windows. I know folks in Vera had a EF1 tornado, I believe, back in April. So folks in Vera, don't want to say this to scare you or anything, but it would be prudent to go ahead and seek those tornado safety precautions. And we're also looking at this tornado warning for portions of Stonewall County. Just a second ago, we saw the very strong rotation near the community of Stonewall. It looks like the circulation is trying to tighten up, meaning that the rotation is getting more organized, it's getting stronger as it moves into portions of Stonewall County. You see that bright red color to the southwest of the community of Jayton. That is what, those are winds going inside the thunderstorm away from the radar, and that's really feeding the intensity of kind of this leading edge of the thunderstorms. And some of those winds could be gusting upwards of 60 miles an hour, not even associated with the tornado, but just thunderstorm winds gusting upwards of 60 miles an hour. And the winds going outside the thunderstorm also looking quite strong. So you have those bright greens and bright reds right next to each other. Potentially a very dangerous situation right now, eventually moving into portions of Stonewall County. Okay, so latest from the National Weather Service in Norman, they have opted to cancel that tornado warning for portions of Knox County. We are keeping an eye on it. That it looks like overall the rotation has weakened. It's typical with these kinds of thunderstorms, a cluster of storms. You have the very quick spin ups. It does look like now it's a straight line wind threat. National Weather Service still has a severe thunderstorm warning for potentially gusts upwards of 80 miles an hour in ping pong ball sized hail. So the gusts of 80 miles an hour, even if they're not associated with a tornado, definitely can do some damage. So Benjamin, Monday, Gilliland, Vera still wants you to be seeking shelter as there is a very powerful thunderstorm. It does look like there's no longer a tornado threat associated with that thunderstorm in Knox County. So that's certainly some good news. We are still looking at a very powerful thunderstorm for portions of Stonewall County until 7:45 p.m. and also has the potential to produce upwards of tennis ball sized hail. So Claremont, Jayton, you're all included in this tornado warning until 7:45 p.m. So for the next 20 minutes, folks, southwest of Peacock, west of Aspermont, I need you to be in that tornado safe place. We're also seeing several severe thunderstorm warnings go into effect. A line of showers and storms are moving into portions of West Texas. So we have Knox County down to Haskell County, down towards Jones and Fisher County, all included in severe thunderstorm warnings. It looks like the National Weather Service has kind of issued a big severe thunderstorm warning to capture all those storms moving out of Stonewall County towards Anson, towards Roby. And that's severe thunderstorm warning in effect now until 8:30 p.m. So Roby, Anson. Eventually, it does look like this current tornado warned thunderstorm is going to be making its way towards Roby, Anson, and potentially towards Abilene. So I wouldn't necessarily go to the safe place at this point because there's no tornado warning for Abilene, Anson, or Roby at this point. We'll be keeping a very close eye on it. We'll see if the National Weather Service chooses to issue a tornado warning. For now, the imminent threat is for you in Kent and Stonewall counties. So folks in Stonewall County really need you to be taking this seriously. National Weather Service saying it looks like the rear flank downdraft is surging and could potentially cut off circulation. So we were talking about this just a second ago. The green is winds going outside of the thunderstorm, and it looks like those may be increasing, and as it kind of transitions from a tornado threat to a straight line wind threat, that can reduce the imminent tornado threat. It still, though, is very powerful winds, potentially up to 70 or 80 miles an hour. So I still want you to be in your tornado safe place as the storm moves to Stonewall County. But hopefully it does offer a little bit of peace of mind as this potentially dangerous thunderstorm moves towards you. We can look at gate-to-gate shear inside this thunderstorm. That gives you an idea of the rotation and those winds potentially going up to 50, 60 miles an hour. So a dangerous situation right now in Stonewall County. I really need you to be in that tornado safe place. Again, that's the lowest floor. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And gate-to-gate shear just to the east of Claremont, to the southwest of Jayton. Radar is estimating potentially over 100 miles an hour. So it's definitely still a powerfully rotating thunderstorm on the leading edge of that line of storms as it moves towards Aspermont, as it moves towards places like Haskell and Roby. Latest scan from radar and you kind of see where that C shape is on radar. That's where we're monitoring for that potential tornadic circulation. It's moving kind of out of Kent County into Stonewall County. So the National Weather Service is giving a heads up saying, hey, there's a potential tornadic circulation moving towards you in Stonewall County. I know we just recently had a tornado warning for folks in Stonewall County, pardon me, and thankfully there were no reports of damage, but there is another powerful thunderstorm moving into portions of Stonewall County, also potential for up to tennis ball sized hail. The tornado warning is just to the southwest of the community of Aspermont, but there is still a severe thunderstorm warning for you in Aspermont. And they have also just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for folks in Scurry County, it appears. So we're talking about the far northeastern portion of Scurry County. This is north of Lorain, northeast of Snyder, east of Dermott. Okay, so thank you for that, Brandon. I've just heard from the newsroom there are folks on social media asking about Ballinger. I think right now there's no imminent threat for the city of Ballinger, let me say that. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. It's one county north of Runnels County. So here's Runnels County. That severe thunderstorm watch is just to the north of you in Ballinger, just to the north of you in Runnels County. So some severe weather may clip you in Ballinger. I think the greater threat for the higher threat for strong to severe storms is going to stay just to the north of folks in Ballinger, just to the north of folks in Runnels County. So Brandon, thank you for that, and hopefully gives folks in Runnels County a little bit of peace of mind. Not to say severe weather is impossible in the Concho Valley, not to say it's impossible south of I-20. I do think the greater threat is where we're currently seeing those warnings. And right now, currently the area of largest concern is moving out of Kent County into portions of Stonewall County. National Weather Service is noting it looks like the rotation inside the thunderstorm is weakening. You can definitely still see the area of rotation. We're not really seeing the bright reds right next to the bright greens like we were earlier. It definitely still is an area of concern, though, to the southeast of Claremont. I think it's kind of slowly but surely moving into portions of Stonewall County, which Kent County is technically just outside of our viewing area. But that area of rotation might be a little bit further back. You're definitely hearing the heavy rainfall, probably seeing some small hail across southwestern portions of Stonewall County. I think the strongest part of the storm is kind of staying just to the west of you, and we're definitely likely going to see the very gusty straight line winds and that large hail threat as well. We've been unfortunately seeing reports of some very gusty straight line winds. And that's the reason we have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect I was showing just a second ago. All the pink shaded counties, so that goes from Abilene northward. One county that's not included is Mitchell County in the Big Country, and then no counties south of Abilene. So San Angelo not included in that severe thunderstorm watch. But the National Weather Service has labeled it a particularly dangerous situation. And this is, in my career, the first PDS severe thunderstorm watch I've personally seen. I've seen PDS, particularly dangerous situation, tornado watches, but these are a little bit less common. And the reason they get issued is for that threat of very gusty straight line winds, potentially over 70 to 80 miles an hour. So even though the wind may not necessarily be from a tornado tonight, straight line winds can definitely still cause some damage. So if severe thunderstorm warnings are issued for your location, make sure you take them very seriously. One tornado warning we have in the Fox West Texas viewing area as a line of showers and storms makes their way southeastward into the Big Country. One tornado warning right now, it's for you in Stonewall County. Thankfully, it looks like the storm is overall less organized than it was earlier. It's currently 7:33 p.m. on this Sunday evening. For those of you who are just now joining us, I'm meteorologist Britton Musall. We are continuing severe weather coverage for a tornado warning that's just been issued for southeastern Kent and southwestern Stonewall County in our viewing area. It looks like the warning is just to the southwest for folks watching from Aspermont. It does include you in Peacock, so folks in Peacock, it needs you to be in that tornado safe place. We're still seeing the very powerful winds associated with this thunderstorm, so I really need you to be in that tornado safe place. And even folks in Aspermont, I would recommend seeking shelter over towards Haskell, over towards Fisher, over towards Roby, because even though it looks like the imminent tornado threat may be decreasing with the storm, you definitely still see the rotation, powerful winds moving away from the thunderstorm. It looks like the strongest inbound winds, the strongest winds moving strongest storms of inflow winds moving into the thunderstorm are south of Jayton. So the brightest green, the brightest winds going out of the thunderstorm aren't necessarily co-located with the brightest winds moving into the thunderstorm, which is what you would typically expect with a potential tornado. Not to say it's time to come out of the safe place quite yet. The tornado warning is still in effect for the next 10 minutes at 7:35 p.m. And this tornado warning is in effect until 7:45 p.m. National Weather Service may choose to extend the warning. We'll have to keep a close eye on it. Current trends, though, it looks like it's transitioning from a tornado threat to more of a straight line damaging wind threat. The storm we saw earlier with a tornado warning in Knox County, that has kind of started to merge with the southwestern cluster of storms. And as these storms merge together, we're probably going to see the tornado threat decrease. Not to say that tornadoes are impossible tonight, but I think it'll transition to more of a straight line damaging wind threat. And as they kind of merge together, they'll be pushing the cool winds out of the thunderstorm. And some of those wind gusts could be upwards of 70 and even 80 miles an hour. A storm's considered severe if it produces a gust over 57 miles an hour. So potentially some intense thunderstorms tonight. And even if it's not producing tornadoes, those straight line winds can definitely do some damage. So make sure you're continuing to stay weather aware. It looks like the National Weather Service do apologize, receiving a lot of messages with all of the tornado warnings across our viewing area. Seeing folks talking about the community of Clyde. I briefly mentioned Scurry County. Yes, sir. Yes, we have a view of the thunderstorm in Scurry County, and we have that severe thunderstorm warning on the northwest side of Scurry County, northeast side of Scurry County. So this is from Snyder, and you can see the very powerful, the tall clouds. And Brandon, if we could take it back to the wall, please. When you see those very tall clouds on radar, and there's the severe thunderstorm warning in Scurry County. So this is pointed off and looking at these thunderstorms across northwestern portions of our viewing area. So thank you for that. The tall clouds indicate powerful thunderstorms. The higher up in the atmosphere it goes, that means the stronger the thunderstorm. And that's why we have this tornado warning in effect for southwestern portions of Stonewall County. National Weather Service hasn't indicated yet if they plan on extending the tornado warning. It is in effect for the next 7 minutes. It's 7:38 right now. So until 7:45 p.m., I want you to be in that tornado safe place. And even after that, it wouldn't be a bad idea to seek shelter. It does look like we're definitely seeing the very strong winds associated with the thunderstorm. I think it might be overestimating those winds a little bit. I'm going to switch to a different view of radar. And it looks like it may be showing the same thing of still the potentially powerful rotation associated with the thunderstorm. This is looking at the winds inside the thunderstorm. The green is winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. So you do still see the rotation. I don't think it's as powerful though as when the tornado warning first was issued for portions of Stonewall County. We'll have to monitor the trends though over the next little bit of time. And we're starting to see thunderstorms enter now into portions of Fisher County, northwest of the community of Roby. National Weather Service in San Angelo has this severe thunderstorm warning issued, potentially for some 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts and some very large hail. So Roby towards Anson, towards Haskell, if you live in that yellow shaded polygon, I'd recommend you seek shelter, even though there's not a tornado warning for Fisher, Haskell, or Jones County. It's definitely a powerful thunderstorm. It definitely warrants taking those safety precautions. Make sure you keep you and your family safe. As I've mentioned, if the winds come from a tornado, if they come from straight line winds in a thunderstorm, they can still cause the damage, especially when you have these sort of particularly dangerous wind gusts inside the thunderstorm. National Weather Service in Lubbock saying that they're going to increase the hail sizes, potentially up to baseball size, for southern portions of Kent County. You can see those very bright purples. Those may eventually make their way towards Rotan. So folks in Rotan probably want to seek shelter inside, and folks further south in Fisher County probably going to want to move those cars inside as potentially very large hail is approaching your location. Hopefully no major damage to life or property, but if you can take those safety precautions, that is definitely advisable with the very large hail potentially moving out of Kent County into portions of Fisher County. Okay, we are also receiving questions about Breckenridge and Moran. So Breckenridge and Moran currently are not. So here's Moran, here's Breckenridge. Currently not seeing any thunderstorms in those locations. Jones and Stevens County are both included in a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 p.m. So these storms further back to the northwest, I do think eventually going to make their way towards portions of Stevens County. We can put a severe thunderstorm track, we can put a storm track on the whole line of thunderstorms, and that could give us an idea of when exactly folks could see those storms. So they're moving between 35 and 45 miles an hour, so we'll have it move at 40 miles an hour as it moves towards Eastland and eventually towards the Dallas area. So near Haskell about 8 p.m., 8:30 for folks in Throckmorton, near Graham at 9:18. So Breckenridge, probably about 9:18 for you as well, about 9:20, 9:30 p.m. Near Mineral Wells at 10:32 p.m., and it'll be closer towards the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex at 10:53. And that severe thunderstorm watch expires at 11 p.m. So we'll be closely monitoring the exact speed of this line of thunderstorms, as it could speed up, as it could slow down. We'll be keeping a very close eye on it. Since these lines of storms do have a tendency to speed up, speed down, I wouldn't be shocked if it sped up. And they have just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Shackelford County. And it does not include the city of Moran. So Moran, you're not included in it. Neither is Albany. It's northeastern portions of Shackelford County. And that's again as that line of showers and thunderstorms moves from places like Knox County and Stonewall County, eventually towards Roby, Anson, Albany, Breckenridge. I do think eventually the severe thunderstorms are going to move towards that area. Right now it looks like the strongest storms are across Stonewall over towards Knox County. Knox County previously had a tornado warning that is no longer in effect, but Kent and Stonewall counties, you are both included in that tornado warning until 7:45 p.m. It's currently 7:53. We will closely continue to monitor this thunderstorm. National Weather Service has noted a little bit of a weakening trend with this thunderstorm. Looking at this most recent scan, you can definitely see the rotation I would definitely still be in my safe place if I lived in Stonewall or Kent County. It looks like the strongest rotation is kind of right on the border of the two. And ahead of that main line, we're seeing the really powerful winds even going down towards Rotan. So friends in Rotan, Roby, McCully, portions of Fisher County still want you to be seeking shelter. Even though there's not an imminent tornado threat for Rotan, some of those winds could be upwards of about 50 miles an hour. Strongest winds right now are definitely for folks in Stonewall County. So the main line of storms is now kind of moving towards Aspermont, towards Pastura, eventually towards Sagerton. That's in southwestern portions of Haskell County. And just look at the hail sizes south of Claremont, and National Weather Service has this warned for potentially up to baseball-sized hail. So multiple threats all associated with this line of storms. The main story for tonight is that threat for straight line damaging winds, some of which could be upwards of 70, 80, maybe even more than that, 90 miles an hour. Certainly not out of the question. Not saying this to scare anyone, but we are saying this to be prepared. Could potentially even see power outages. And this just in at 7:45 p.m. on this Sunday evening, they have allowed the tornado warning to expire for portions of Stonewall County. So Brandon, I believe we should be good to send it back to regularly scheduled programming. Before we do that, I do want to give folks a broad overview of what is going on. We had 2 tornado warnings, one in Knox County, one in Stonewall County. Both of those tornado warnings have been allowed to expire. It looks like the rotation has decreased. The main threat for tonight, though, is the threat for potentially gusty straight line winds, 70 to 80 plus miles an hour. And that will certainly cause damage apart from tornadoes. Also large hail potentially moving towards Fisher and Jones County. And you can see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Rotan, northeast of Snyder, towards Throckmorton, Benjamin. No tornado warnings at this point. We do have the threat of very strong winds. So folks across the big country still really want you staying weather aware. We have a PDS that stands for a particularly dangerous situation, severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 11 p.m. Again, that's mostly for that threat of very gusty straight line winds. The tornado threat has decreased. We'll continue to keep an eye on things online, on social media, on all of our different digital platforms. So thank you for tuning in with us. Thank you for your trust. But for now, we'll send it back to regularly scheduled programming.